this time, we will call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee DeBoer. Trustee Trutchell.
Here.
Trustee Pieper.
Here.
Trustee Walschlager. Here. Trustee Connor.
Here.
Trustee Hallquist.
Here.
President Vanderstill.
Here. If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please remove your caps, led by Trustee Connor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time we have public comments. For anybody that would like to come forward and speak in public comments, please step towards the podium and feel free to do so.
Looks like there's just one of us. My name is Trevor DeBoer. I'm a resident of the village of Hartland. Before anybody says anything, the eyesore on Oxford Drive, it'll get better pretty soon, so that's my house. I just wanted to bring up, I think it's an issue, but I know certain people are kind of sick of hearing about it. In the village, in the surrounding areas, in these subdivisions, there's certain rules that usually people have to abide by as far as how they build things. For example, everybody might have to have the same mailbox, right? Everybody might have to have the same color shingles. So those are things that make everything uniform in the community. One thing that, I don't know if it's been discussed, with the new dumpsters that we got, the GFL dumpsters, when visitors come into Hartland, the first thing they see is garbage. Mm-hmm. Fluorescent green, I mean lime fluorescent green dumpsters lining the streets, lining the fronts of people's homes, the sides of their houses. It's the first thing they see when they come into the village. You go through the subdivisions, it's horrible. And these are brand new dumpsters. Wait till they start getting dirty. I mean, it's just gonna look like trash. I think there should be some sort of motion at some point to see if the GFL can either change the colors of these or replace them. Because it's not a very welcoming sight, just like my house right now. But yeah, if somebody could do something about it, you look down the streets right now, the streets are lined with these lime green fluorescent garbages. And like I said, you get people that come into the village and the first thing they see, or they're driving through their neighborhoods, what's the first thing they can see is garbage, whether it's in the dumpsters or not. So just wanted to address that. If you guys could probably bring something up, and I don't know if it has to be done through some sort of survey in the village, but I know with the contract there was some money savings, which is good for the village, but I think this is kind of bringing down the values of what the Hartland village should look like. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that wants to speak in public comments? Anybody on Zoom?
Public comment?
Thank you. At this time, we'll have our first item, which is a consideration of village board minutes for the December 12th, 2022 meeting.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from the December 12th, 2022 meeting.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for the December 12th meeting from 2022. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
I abstain.
That motion is carried. The next item we have is a consideration of items related to vouchers. First, we have consideration of contractor's application for payment number 1 to Pieper Electric, Inc. in the amount of $6,175 for the Arlene lift station upgrade.
If you recall, this was budgeted in 2022 for Arlene lift station that's out in Bristlecone. We need to do some upgrades to take in the new subdivisions that are coming on northeast side of town. This budgeted contract was for replacement of the generator, a transfer switch, control boards, and some other wiring. Pieper Electric is submitting an application for payment. This application permit is for testing of the generators, see how much power they have. They had to check voltage, and it's also for bonding and insurance on this project. The generator's ordered. Unfortunately, it's not going to arrive in the village of Hartland until March. They ordered it in November. So I know this project is supposed to be done in '22, but they just couldn't get the parts for it. But staff is recommending paying for Pieper Electric Incorporated to the sum of $6,175.
I'll make a motion to approve contractor's application for payment number 1 to Pieper Electric in the amount of $6,175 for the Arlene lift station upgrade.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve that payment number 1 to Pieper Electric for $6,175. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Next, we have, along with our vouchers, is a consideration of vouchers for payment in the amount of $601,069.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers for payment in the amount of $601,069.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the the vouchers for payment in the amount of $601,069. Any discussion?
I have some questions. I can ask Ryan that later. On the environmental services for the forest products grinding and excavating, where was that done? Does anybody know off the top of their heads?
Is that the grinding? Is that what you're questioning?
Yes, where was it?
That's at the village hall. I'm sorry, that's at the village DPW. That's for the brush and the compost that was brought in by residents. We do that, normally, we do it 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Now that we hold our recycling only open to the village of Hartland, that's the only time we did it. We only had to do it once this year.
I thought we did our own chopping up of everything.
That's of tree trimmings, branches, and the stuff that the village takes down. This is
Okay.
what all the village residents bring in.
Okay, wait, I might have one more. Nope, that's it, thank you.
Anybody else for the vouchers? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
That motion is carried. Now we have actions related to licenses and permits. And we have a consideration of an application for an operator's bartender's license that has been recommended to the board for denial. This is for Shantiana Lepak.
Good evening. In your packet, you'll see a memo that I drafted regarding Ms. Werner Lepek's operator license application. We had one similar to this a year or so ago where there was some felony charges pending in court. In this particular case, there's a Columbia County case where Ms. Werner Lepek was charged with the following crimes: possessed with intent heroin, Class E felony; possessed with intent methamphetamine, Class E felony; possession of methamphetamine, Class I felony; and then possessed drug paraphernalia, which is a misdemeanor. State Statute 12504 subsection 5B states no license or permit related to alcohol beverages may be issued under this chapter to any person who has habitually been a law offender or in this particular case, who has been convicted of a felony, unless the person has been duly pardoned. So therefore, if Ms. Werner Lepek is convicted of any of the felony charges, she would not be able to hold a valid operator's license. In consultation with our village attorney, Christopher Kinke, it is being recommended that Ms. Werner Lepek's operator license application be denied until her pending court case is adjudicated so that we can ensure her operator license remains valid. Once the case is closed, Ms. Werner Lepek could reapply for operator's license. And then just one note on this, in her application, there's an area that she can check if she has any pending criminal charges, and she did not state that she had any pending criminal charges, so that was inaccurately marked off as not having pending criminal charges. Our options as a board is deny the operator's license as recommended by myself due to the pending felony charges, and ask the applicant to reapply once the court case has been adjudicated. Otherwise, you can approve the operator license And then we can conduct another background check when she renews her operator license on that annual basis. And then we can see if there's any felony charges at that time, and then just deny it moving forward. The one danger of that is this case can close at any time, and if she were to be convicted of a felony, that operator license would be null and void at that time, and we may not know that immediately. So my recommendation of the board would be to deny the operator's license application due to the outstanding court case and the felony charges related.
Considering the information, would you like a chance to address the board? If you could go to the podium, please.
I'm very nervous.
10.
I know that it really can't get worse than this, kind of confronting everybody at once. So I wanted to start out by saying some things about myself, and then I'm also open to questions about the case afterwards. I know that she wanted to say some things as well. Just kind of speak on myself. My name is Shantiana Lepak. I wanted to start off today by telling you all a bit about myself. So Hartland is my childhood hometown. My mother moved here when I was 7 years old. And my dad was never in the picture. She really struggled to raise me as a single parent, but she always worked really hard and did her best. I went to Hartland South Elementary, and then North Shore Middle School, and then I also went to Arrowhead High School. So I'm very much a resident here, and I have been my whole life. After high school, I went on to pursue a career in massage therapy, and I graduated with my diploma from Herzing University in 2015. But all the while, I never forgot my roots in Hartland. I wanted to give back to my community, so I volunteered at the Hartland Food Pantry, and I held many jobs in this town, including the Wisconsin Athletic Club, waitressing at Senior Tomas and Beer Snobs, and I even put in hours working at Culver's and Fabulous Pizza. So some of my longest jobs were with Hand and Stone in Waukesha, and then also Rock Your Cocos in Delafield, and they did eventually promote me to management positions. I did work really hard to excel in my field of massage therapy, and I opened my first massage business in 2019. I worked hard to build a profitable business, and I wanted to improve the health and wellness of my community and of my neighbors, friends, clients, and family. The reason I'm sharing this all with you is because it's really easy to tailor how you perceive someone based on their criminal record. Crap. Sorry. Last year was incredibly difficult. My car was stolen by someone I thought was a friend, and I landed myself smack dab in the middle of some of the hardest legal trouble that I ever thought I would be in, and that I've ever faced in my life, and that I ever thought I would face. Without a vehicle to travel to and from my practice in Oconomowoc, and with the necessity of financing legal counsel to prove my innocence, I reached out to the Hartland community to look for work within walking distance of my home. Despite the severity of the allegations, Stacy at Triangle Tap decided to give me a chance and allow me to work with her. And her belief in me really strengthened my resolve to fight this with everything I have. I appear before the board today to ask for a chance to rebuild my trust within the community and to appeal the decision to deny my license. I'm willing to do anything it takes to get approved, including submitting to random drug testing and frequently checking in with local law enforcement, just to update you guys all on the progress that I've made with my case, and if any new updates come, as far as if I'm found guilty. Just kind of as a side note away from what I wrote, my first date to enter a disposition is on the 14th. So that will be the first date that I actually go to trial, and I'm able to tell them that I'm not guilty. And I did seek legal representation in this case as well. It is my understanding that Stacy runs a really upstanding business in the community, and I would like the opportunity to show you all and her that my sobriety is my #1 priority, and that I can and I will be responsible and trustworthy at her establishment. Thank you all for your time, and I am open to questions in regards to this. And I know that the charges are heinous. I don't want to take away from the severity of it, because I know, I'm well aware.
Do you want to tell them how it came about that
Yeah.
you didn't know that these things were in your vehicle?
Yeah, so I was driving a rental vehicle at the time, a vehicle that several people had access to. I was driving out to Madison in search of a specific kind of charger, which is stupid in hindsight. I really wish I could take that back. But I had stopped at every Walmart along the way, and eventually found one in Madison where I could get this charger. It was a strip charger that I could plug a 3-prong outlet into. And then when I got off on the exit, I went west instead of east, so I was kind of forced to keep going because 2 exits were blacked out. And then I reached Columbia County. I was about to do a U-turn, and that's when I ran out of gas. So I actually called the police to come help me. And had I known these things were in the car, I would have not called the police to come help me. So yeah, then the officer took me to go get gas. And while he took me to go get gas, he claimed that a canine officer came and found my car and decided to walk a dog around it, and that the dog pointed at the car. So at that point, I came back. I told them that they could search the vehicle, and then they found the things in the vehicle of the car. And I did have to do 4 days in Columbia County Jail, and I was let out on a signature bond, so that I could find legal representation for my first court date on February 14th, and that's the most current update. Thank you.
And then could I say something? I'm Stacy Smith, and I own the Triangle Tap. A lot of you know me. I feel that what she told me, I feel like giving her a chance. I don't let my bartenders drink. I have kicked people out of my bar for life because I found out people were doing drugs in my bar. I run a very tight ship. I think that's why I go through so many bartenders. You people in the office know how many I go through, because they come in and they sound good and something happens and out they go, because I don't stand for any crap in my bar. That's just how I run it. Shantiana came in and we talked, and I started training her. She's very good with the customers. She's very responsible. I feel that I want to give her a chance. If you would give her her bartender's license, I will hold personally onto her license. If she messes up at all, I'm taking her license and I'm calling the village and the police department immediately so everybody knows what's going on with her. So that's what I have to say. I'd like to be responsible for her at this time. And she is innocent until proven guilty, and she hasn't even went to court yet. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very lucky to have you stand with her.
Well, thank you.
Could I make a comment, Jeff?
Sure.
Something that was brought up to the board, and this was before Jeff was on the board. I remember we had a case come up, it was just the reverse, somebody applying for a license, and at that time, we denied the license because it was told to us that it had to be the date of the conviction, not the date that it happened. So this person had to wait another month because they were a month too early. So at that time, that's how it had been done years ago when it's cut like this. It had to be the date of conviction, not the date of getting a ticket or whatever. I don't know if that was right or wrong, but that is how it was done when I started on the board.
I believe the board policy that Trustee Walschlager's referencing is in the application. It states that the board has a policy that if you have any alcohol-related charges, that the board will not approve a license for a period of 12 months from date of conviction. So that's a little different than the state statute for the felony charges in this case. That could just be merely alcohol citation, a municipal citation. That's just a board policy, and the board states that on their application. I'm assuming that. I don't know what happened many years ago
It was
for that,
alcohol.
but that's where I'm assuming that
Okay.
that was the case.
Okay, thank you.
Can you please go back up to the podium, please?
I just wanted to reiterate that, yeah, so I did look into like the Wisconsin Fair Employment Act, and I believe you did kind of reiterate something from that chapter where it did talk about, yes, it was if you were convicted of And I know that one of the big like sticking points in like whether or not I should have my license is because I wouldn't be able to bartend had I been found guilty. So, yeah, my main point is just to give me the chance to prove to you guys that I can be responsible and that I will be responsible in the meantime, and that if in the event that I am found guilty, you will be the first to know, as well as the board, and she's definitely here to kind of police that as well, to make sure that you guys are well informed of that matter. Thank you.
I would like to clarify something just so that we're all on the same page. The ability to bartend does not stop with any conviction unless you're imprisoned and can't get there to do the bartending. Carrying an operator's license means you can be the responsible party at an establishment that is the overseer and the person held responsible for upholding the laws in the state of Wisconsin pertaining to your establishment. I want to make sure that that's very clear, because I want you to know, and I want to make sure the board knows, it does not, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, it does not mean that a person cannot bartend. It means that they just can't be the operator. No matter what way this goes, I'm saying you can still stand behind her. Yes, you may be sitting on the other side of the bar or just being on premises, but it doesn't completely eliminate your ability to bartend. And maybe you already know that, and but I just wanted to let you know, just so that we know that. I just wanted that to be out there so that.
In my bar, I'm the person that bartends the most. My boyfriend Scott pulls other hours. My bartenders are there to relieve me if I'm sitting on that side of the bar while someone's bartending. It just wouldn't work for me. They're there alone. However, I have cameras in my bar. If you've ever been in there, I have cameras everywhere, and yes, except for the bathrooms. I do use them. There's no shenanigans in my bar. The cameras are outside, the cameras are inside. But she would be bartending by herself. But I have a lot of customers that narc on bartenders, let's just say. Did you know your bartender just did this? I'll look back and see it on the film. So people look out for each other. They look out for me. They look out for the bartenders. We're a very small, can't say family bar because who wants kids in a bar, but a very small town corner bar, just so everyone knows that.
If I may, I'm just going to ask some really pointed questions. I'm sorry to do it to you, and if you don't mind going to the podium. There was a box on the application that you didn't check that says,
Yes.
do you have any pending charges? What was the reason for not checking that box?
I honestly didn't know that it would be pending so soon. I've never really had a case of this severity. I have no felonies on my record, so I'm just not very familiar with the process. I thought that it was after, like, I go to court and enter my disposition, that's when kind of like the trial begins, but I didn't realize that like it begins like right from the moment that you're put in custody. So, yeah.
Charge.
Yeah, I wasn't aware. Like, I was kind of hoping that I would get in the application before that was like a thing. So I hadn't even looked into my charges or kept myself or anything. Again, this is like my first time going through this. So I'm just very new to what this means. And I've definitely like seen the effect that it can have like already, like as far as just like how people perceive me and
And I'm not looking at you in any bad light. It's a grave oversight.
I
And
get
this
that.
question,
I know.
I don't believe that legally, you do not have to answer any of these.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
no, I know, and I'm happy.
Did you test positive when you were taken into custody?
They never tested me, and
Okay.
no, I was not inebriated in any way.
I have no other questions.
Any more questions at all?
Ask about the box check as well, so.
Our chief, I stand behind our chief 100%. This is gonna sound really weird. I stand behind our chief 100% because he's doing his job in proposing stuff to us. What's the name of the attorney?
Gibson Hatch. Wait, no, my attorney or the prosecutor?
Your attorney?
Yeah,
And
Gibson.
you've met with them?
Yeah, I have not yet. I actually just got the paperwork, so My plan is to kind of go through this all like tomorrow, but I just got like an envelope in the mail, kind of like where my attorney was assigned, like I'm working with the firm, and then, yeah, my plan is to call him tomorrow, but it's Gibson Hatch, and he's an attorney in Portage, Wisconsin.
Just to be clear, you do know that if you do get convicted of one of these felonies,
I cannot
that,
bartend. Yeah,
that,
would completely
that,
eliminate
that
my
license
license.
gets, yeah, it's
Absolutely.
null and void.
100%.
And that's your responsibility.
Yes, yes.
To know that.
Yes, I'm very well aware, yeah.
I'm not trying to be too harsh, but it really is your responsibility, especially knowing the beverage servers course and stuff like that, that it's like, if all of a sudden you're convicted, it's like, okay, I can't, hey, Village, you might as well make me
Exactly.
off the list, because I'm not.
No, absolutely, yeah. I actually did find like other employment in the meantime, just to kind of safeguard, because I obviously can't go without like making an income. But it's just like the types of jobs that I'm able to get with like this like conviction are just like not well paying. And I need something to be able to finance my lawyer in the long term. So it's like, it's very like pertinent that I'm able to get something that pays well and is within walking distance of my home. So that's like the main reason that I'm applying with Stacy in the first place.
You had indicated that you're establishing a massage therapy business?
Yeah, I established it in 2019 actually, and it's in Oconomowoc. But my car was stolen earlier last year, so it's been difficult just to get to and from Oconomowoc back and forth. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm looking for work in walking distance of my home.
To supplement you getting back on your feet with your business?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's a tough one, tough crowd.
I'm at a loss. I don't want it ever to appear that I'm going against our chief. You are innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
I'm even gonna go, and I know this, I don't even have to say this, and I know this sounds me, I'm not gonna say I'm sitting here in blind trust.
Yeah.
You know, going from
Yeah.
Walmart to Walmart all the way to Madison, getting
Yeah, well, it sounds
an
dumb.
electric strip
It sounds dumb,
is-
but it's one of those things where it's like, you
there's
know,
just a whole lot of little,
you wish you could take it
weird
back.
things.
Yeah, I wouldn't lie about why I went out there. It was unfortunately to get a charger, and I told the officer that it's actually in the police report as well.
and I do think the chief is right. Technically, if we could look, but because you're not, I'm just saying for myself.
Yeah, yeah.
I do,
Would she call 911 and ask for a police to come out if she knew that there was stuff in her car? I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, I just wanna,
Again, this vehicle was a rental, and I was not the only one who had access to it. So, yeah.
does anybody else have anything?
I can just tell you, I've known Stacy for a long time, and she has my trust, that I will say.
I only have one issue. If we were to allow the license, and then she ends up getting convicted, yeah, then we would lose, as a village, as a police department, we would lose control of that. Right now, we have control of the licensing. So, and I relay, Stacy says she's watching it and all that, but we would lose control of that if, right now, we have control on what license we give them and what license we don't. So if we give it to her and then she's convicted, then we've kind of lost control, even though it's on their best behavior to tell us that they've lost it and that type of thing. So that's all I'm saying.
I hear what you're saying on the piece of paper, even though that piece of paper would technically be null and void. It'd be illegal for her to say, yes, I can bargain,
Right.
knowing that she's been convicted.
Right. Well, right now, we have control of that.
Correct.
That's why I'm wondering if there's a way that we can kind of meet in the middle where I can maybe potentially come and check in with you guys like on a regular basis, like to submit like either drug tests or also just to kind of update you guys on the case. As far as like my soonest update, that is that I have an attorney and that my first court date is on the 14th. And that is just the court date to enter the disposition, and I'm just not sure how lengthy this process is going to be. I can't imagine that it's going to be short.
Well, one of the ways of meeting in the middle would be you could bartend, but you don't hold the license. You would have to have somebody on the premises. So, so you would have some income coming in. but obviously you couldn't be by yourself.
I just know that for Stacy, it's really important that I'm able to bartend alone because she wants to be able to come and go from her business. She's been working really, really hard lately at the bar, which is why that I kind of like decided to come and do this, even though it's nerve-wracking. I just thought that I would try and give it a shot.
Chief, I've got a question. I'm sure that this can vary, but with your best estimation, how long does a case like this that's being tried and being pled as not guilty, how long does that typically carry out?
Yeah, it can definitely vary, and it can vary dramatically from county to county. I'm not sure Columbia County's volume that they do on an annual basis, so I would be really speculating on that. And I can also say one of the impacts of COVID is the court system is definitely behind. At least we're experiencing that greatly here in the Milwaukee, Waukesha Circuit Court branches. But again, Columbia, very unfamiliar with it. So I would be just speculating. It does look like Ms. Werner Lepek has a pretrial conference on February 3rd. And then I'm assuming there's a return date for probably some type of status hearing on the February 14th hearing. And then if it were to go to jury trial, there'd be time for attorneys to put that together. So you're talking probably a couple months. And I'm sure there probably will be a motion or two in between there. So I would say realistically, 6 months, about the time frame of when this would expire and have to renew for the June operator license. And I would actually have to ask Arlene, if it gets approved now, does it still expire in June? I'm pretty sure that's the case. I'm just not 100%.
Chief?
When did this happen?
I don't have the exact date, but it was filed within Columbia County on November 21st, 2022.
Yeah, that's, I'm pretty sure like around the same day it happened. It was like
Yeah.
November.
And if you were booked into the jail?
Yes.
And then did you go to court right away while you were in jail?
I was in there for 4 days, because I went in on, it was like technically like Friday morning. And then my court date was that Monday, the following Monday.
So yeah, there would have been what's called like a lockup hearing to set bail, and then make sure there's enough probable cause that a crime did occur. So that would have been in close conjunction within a day or two of the violation date.
So basically, it's gonna be 3 months before her initial trial date. She
My-
said that 14th.
My initial is in February.
February
That's
14th?
the preliminary, correct?
There's a pretrial conference where they're talking, get some things
Third.
together, and then there's it's called a return date on CCAP. I'm assuming it's just some type of status hearing. And then if there's any motions that her attorney would file, and then it would ultimately probably go to some type of jury trial. I mean, it ultimately could plead out. There can be evidence brought to light. So a lot of different things can definitely happen. I'm kind of speculating across the board on that. But I would say if it goes through a full jury trial, I think 6 months is probably optimistic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was anybody else with you?
No.
So there were no other people charged or anything like that
No.
with that particular event?
No.
And then you mentioned you didn't have any other felonies or anything. Do you have any kind of a previous record of note?
Some like, I think I have like possession of marijuana from when I was young, probably over 8 years ago. And then I have a prior DUI also for marijuana. I believe I got that when I was 21. And I'm 28 now, or 29. I'm 29 now. I forget. But yeah, those are the only charges that pertain to like drugs on my record.
I can tell you that I know Stacy wouldn't be here if she didn't believe in this young woman. She's also been assisting other foundations of sorts to help women get back on their feet. And this is I think, a good example of that. I believe in everything our police department does and our chief as well. But in the situation, I'd be obliged to make a motion to approve her bartender's license.
Ask a question.
I'll second.
It's been moved, I want to clarify, it's been moved and seconded to approve the bartender's application, the bartender's license. Discussion.
Unless you want to start. The application, or the operator's license has to be renewed again in June. Is that confirmed?
No, that is not. In thinking about it, this past year was the large year, and we have licenses that are good for 2 years, so it would be a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
Are there any stipulations that anyone would like to put forward, as in like?
We got to wait now because there's a motion on the floor, so it's just the board. Sorry. I know it's kind of weird. It's just,
Okay.
I do have one question.
unless someone has a specific question for you. Sorry, I'm
No,
not.
go ahead.
Assuming that we pass this, and because being innocent until proven guilty, let's say it goes to August, and for some reason, you're found guilty. Can we at that time, or whoever, just go and say, okay, your license is revoked, or let you know, or you let us know? I'm asking, I don't know how that works.
Technically, we don't have to. She serves one drink. She's serving it with an illegal license, especially going through this meeting and knowing that if she was convicted, if she went back and bartended alone on a premises in Hartland, she's serving that drink illegally.
So then you'd be in trouble, right?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she can only work alone in the bar.
You gotta keep it at the bar, though. We gotta
I
keep it
understand.
on the board, though. But yes, the
Okay.
owner would be in trouble.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Not that we would do.
No,
yeah.
I understand, I'm,
If a conviction comes down and a person is now a felon, when they sign up for their license, it's part of the entire beverage server's course. That they state that they know that they are not allowed, for instance, just like they know that they are not allowed to serve someone under the age of 21. No matter what, it's automatically illegal. There's some rare circumstances, but we'll stay away from the parent thing. So if she were convicted and then at noon one day and went to work that night, she is illegally utilizing the license because it no longer exists. Just like if you had your license revoked, but you went and you just drove and you're like, but I still got a plastic license, it doesn't matter. It's still revoked.
That's good to
Okay.
know.
And I wasn't,
no, I understand, I'm comfortable with this.
with that, I do, and I can't, I don't want to, I know I'm overblowing this by saying, Chief, I respect what you do, and there's so many little loopholes here, and I don't know what judges are going to do. I don't know if a judge is going to plea this down and say, okay, we're going to go to a high misdemeanor, and all of a sudden it gets pled, where then they're not a felon, or if it's going to be, it did, now that it's coming up that there was priors. I'm not saying I'm not scared to do this, but because a person is innocent until they're proven guilty, and because this is pending, and not only could it just be that all of a sudden someone comes to her and says, you're gonna be facing 5 felonies. You can just plead this out for these strong misdemeanors and $1,479 in fines. She may end up taking it, but now it's just a misdemeanor. And because the license becomes null and void at the time of a conviction, I'm leaning in the way of, I don't wanna take away someone's ability to try to better their life, but I mean, it's a shot. I'm just letting you know. I mean, I'm not like leaving here like, wow, I just know I made a great decision, but
No,
a
I
person
get-
is innocent until proven guilty, and if this charge is the only charge holding it up, and I don't know what's gonna happen, I'm just saying I'm leaning that way, but it doesn't mean I'm right. I want everybody on this board, this is
My only
Yeah.
concern is then we kind of are setting a precedent, so anybody that is pending charge theoretically can still go. I guess you technically could still serve, you just have to have a mentor with you. And then obviously my profession, we do things, mentor individuals, so that it's not that you can't operate, or not, you can't serve, and still bring an income, but it's under supervision.
Yeah.
And,
That's not how my bar is.
well, no, I get that, but I'm just saying that there is, that opportunity and option is there as a kind of
Not with triangle tap, but I do understand what you're saying.
Does anybody else have any comment? Discussion? I will call the question just for clarity. A yes vote or a yay vote is to approve. Obviously, the nays are to say no, they should not be allowed to get the license. All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee DeBoer? Yes. Trustee Churchill?
Yes?
Trustee Pieper?
Yes.
Trustee Washington?
Yes.
Trustee Connor?
Nay.
Trustee Helmquist?
Nay.
President Vanderstel?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Don't.
guys so much. Oh,
Chief, thank you very much for your work and
Thank you,
looking into
Chief.
that. I do want to
Thank you for
stress,
coming down here.
and this goes for everybody on this board, I think.
I agree.
Chief always has said to us, I just want to, I mean, especially on Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, it is not a reflection of, I just hope you know that, because I mean, a lot of us are up here feeling really bad, like it's all of a sudden like, oh, there's this,
My hope is for the board, we all have our roles to play here. My role is to give you guys the proper information and make the proper decisions. And then whatever decision you make is well within your authority. So I appreciate it either way. I take none of this personal. There's no winning or losing for me. I just provide the information.
Thank you, Chief.
thanks, Chief. Go ahead.
I just want you to know, we're putting a lot of faith in you guys, especially in you. So, good luck.
I won't disappoint you guys. And if anything happens, you'll be the first to know, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item that we have now, we have others on the list, don't we?
You got the other ones?
Hold on, I'm getting there. Oh, good. We have bartenders, operators, licenses. This is, I'm just gonna read it as read and then explain. We have Jonah Miller and Christina Ross. Just so everybody knows, Jonah Miller has a background check that is still pending. Chief, can you provide comment on that?
No, it just hasn't been completed
Oh.
yet. We anticipated that it would be completed before today, and it is
Oh.
still just pending, so.
Sorry. Oops,
We
sorry.
put it on the list anticipating that it would be ready to go,
Got
and it's
it.
just not yet.
Okay,
Murder.
so then we would have,
Just Christina.
so Chris, it would be just Christina, because we have to wait one more round until the background check's complete. It'll just reappear,
Okay.
because it's
Yeah.
once the background
I
check.
believe Jonah Miller came in late Friday and it just had not been completed yet. And
Oh.
I think, I'm actually out of the office this week at a training, but
Okay.
I believe Deputy Chief Clara is working on it.
He's working on it.
Okay.
He's waiting for some calls back.
Okay, so this would be for Christina Ross.
I'll make a motion that we approve the bartender operator's license for Christina Ross.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the operator bartender's license for Christina Ross. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item we have is for the temporary operator's license for the Chamber of Commerce annual dance, and that is Donna Doro.
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary operator's license for Donna Duro.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the temporary operator's bartender's license for the Chamber of Commerce annual dance for Donna Doro. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item we have is consideration of first reading for an ordinance number 01092023, an ordinance amending Chapter 12 of the Village of Hartland Municipal Code pertaining to private alarm systems.
Good evening once again. So this is something that was in our ordinance from when we had our own dispatch center many years ago, decades ago. This is something that is not in place anymore because of not having our own dispatch center, and the Waukesha County Communication Center does not take alarms direct to the communication center. You'd have to go through some type of company that then they would work with the dispatch center. So this is really a non-existent topic. So I was just trying to look at area to just clean up some of our municipal ordinance that no longer applies, and this was one that we can repeal and take off the books. And that would be my recommendation.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding this properly. This says any person intending to install an alarm system, so if we get rid of this, then I can put an alarm system in my house and I don't have to tell anybody? Is that right?
So this is, what the ordinance reads is any person intending to install an alarm system on the premise located within village shall notify the police chief in writing at least 10 days prior. Such written notice should specify the owner of the premise in which the alarm system is intended to be installed, the location of such premise, and the type of alarm system. Upon installation of alarm system, the person owning or leasing the system shall arrange for a hookup of the system to the digital alarm system. That's what we no longer have. There's nothing that goes direct to the dispatch center. It goes through like a call center
Right.
and then goes to the dispatch center now. So so that hookup to that digital alarm system shall be made by such firm which provides the equipment to receive alarms at the dispatch center. So that no longer is in place. So to your question, you could get an alarm system and you wouldn't have to call me, but no one calls me. So like
Well,
that
I
alarm would go
was
to our dispatch center.
Surprised by this.
Why they had to call us before is because they could have went direct
Oh,
into our dispatch center.
Okay, okay. that
And then
makes
we're
sense.
dealing with like an alarm tripping in our
Right.
dispatch center, and we're just then blindly sending people. We're now like a call center would notify
Okay.
the Waukesha County Communications Center, then they would dispatch us to 123 Main Street
But until
for
we get
whatever
rid
type
of
of alarm.
this is actually in the books
Correct.
right now. Okay, thank you.
Yep, and that Lakes Dispatch Center has been gone since 2004-ish. So it's something we haven't utilized in many years.
To clarify, the amendment is to just rid this ordinance of this wording, which means that everything resorts to state law, if there is any pertaining to this. We don't need, that's a first reading. Now we have consideration of a second reading for an ordinance 12/12/2022, an ordinance amending 22-168 through 22-173 of the Village of Hartland Code of Ordinances regulating mobile food vendors.
If you all recall, several months ago, we approved the ordinance. Then a couple months after that, we approved the fees. And what we approved with the fee didn't match the ordinance, so we're just, last time we had the first reading, this is just the second reading, making everything kind of go in a line. The item after this is the fee or penalty for not having such permit for your food truck. So this is just the second reading. We'll have one more reading.
Jeff, can we bypass the third reading and just do it now?
If someone made a motion to suspend the rules,
I'd like to suspend the rules and take a vote and motion on this.
okay, first you would make a motion just on suspending the
Okay,
rules.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules, to allow a motion to be made on a second reading of an ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The rules are now suspended.
Oh, I want to make a motion to approve resolution number 01-09-2.
Next one,
Down one.
Down one?
1/12/12/2022.
Where am I?
Number 5.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I want to make a motion to approve ordinance number 12-12-2022, an ordinance amending, oh my goodness, 22-168 through 22-173 of the Village of Hartland Code of Ordinances regulating mobile food vendors. Thank you.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 12/12/2022, an ordinance amending 22-168 through 22-173 of the Village of Hartland Code of Ordinances regulating mobile food vendors. Any discussion? This is kind of part of the motion, so I'm just going to say I do apologize. It was actually kind of out of order that I would have stopped you from reading that item that was on the first reading, but I thought your intent was to read number 5, so that's why I
That's fine.
corrected you.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Sorry about that.
I just want to get it.
The next item we have is consideration of resolution number 0109-2022, a resolution amending Appendix B of the Code of Ordinances for the Village of Hartland concerning the schedule of municipal deposits.
I have a question. Is that correct that it should be, is that just a fluke that it says 1/9/2022 and today's 1/9/2023, or is that actually? Okay.
So it shall read 2023, correct? That's how it's going to be listed. Correction will state that it's 01092023, a resolution amending Appendix B.
You recall, this was brought up to the board regarding section 22 violations, and we gave a range of what the other comparable type violations in that chapter were. It was decided on a base amount of $100, or recommended for that base amount of $100 for a total citation deposit for any violations of $187. That's with all the court costs and other costs built in. Part of state statute is we have to have approval from our municipal judge on our fine amounts, and you should see a letter from the judge. I ran this through the Judge K, and he did take a look at it, and he said it's a reasonable request, and then it's approved, and he added it to our deposit schedule at the Lake Country Municipal Court.
I'll make a motion then to approve resolution 0109/2023, resolution amending Appendix B of the Code of Ordinance for the Village of Hartland concerning the schedule of municipal deposits.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve a resolution amending Appendix B of the Code of Ordinances for the Village of Hartland concerning the schedule of municipal deposits. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. If I'm not mistaken, just so everybody is aware, that does bring us to the conclusion of all the steps that needed to be taken, so everything is in place for mobile food
That was
vendors.
quick.
The next item that we have is discussion and consideration of squad cameras.
Good evening once again. So, midway through 2022, the state of Wisconsin put out grants to basically every law enforcement community in the state of Wisconsin. Our share of that grant was just over $21,000. So there's some, it's not just for anything, but there's some finite areas that money can be used for, defined by the state. One of those areas is camera systems. We currently do not have any type of camera system. I know we talked about it when we thought body camera legislation was coming our way. The unfortunate part of body camera systems is they are very expensive, and 9 times out of 10, you can't even understand what's going on in the video because of the perspective of the video. So in order for us to become a camera agency, I thought it would be a good idea to have a squad camera program, implement that where we dip our toes into the camera world of law enforcement and get that where we have that larger view of what's going on. We also have a camera that would be in the back seat, so any prisoner transports would also be on video. And then finally, even if it were out of view of the squad car and the camera, there still would be an audio device that's recording audio, so you'd still would get some type of recording. So if we were to run into a home on a domestic disturbance, the video from the squad may not be capturing that information, but the audio recording from the squad camera system would be getting audio recording of that situation, which unfortunately oftentimes is about all the body cameras are good for anyhow, because the video is just not always the greatest quality. Much more affordable program to go with the squad camera program, much more durable equipment because it's hard mounted into the vehicle instead of on a person's body and getting beat up on a daily basis. So we went to work thinking that was great use for that grant money for us. So we start contacting numerous vendors. There was 9 vendors in total that we made contact with, received quotes from, and then did demos with either virtually or in person. After doing all those demos, one thing I would like to add is our League of Wisconsin Municipalities Mutual Insurance Company. They also have a safety grant that would qualify for the squad camera program for $2,601 that we would be eligible for as well. So after doing our research, these systems range in price from $73,000 for 5 squad camera systems, all the way down to $18,000. So very wide variance. A lot of the systems, and especially those big systems that are from your big companies like Axon or Motorola or Panasonic, they are in the business of making money. And if they sell you a system and it lasts for 10 years, they don't make money. So they get you on a bunch of different licensing, annual fees and storage fees and all these other type of fees that you got to then pay on an annual basis. So we narrowed our search down really to 2 different companies. There was a 10/8 video for $18,000 and a GTAC company for $26,000. We called all their references, and then also our video or our squad equipment installer, who's been doing this for a very long time and is very well versed in police vehicle equipment. Spoke with him as well. The 10/8 video product did not come recommended by anyone. A lot of issues with it, a lot of problems, poor video quality. So while you were paying that cheaper price point, you really weren't getting a good product for it. Where on the flip side of it, that GTAC system, while it's a little more money, it was a lot more rugged, a lot better video quality. Our squad installer, along with all the police departments that we called, had nothing but great things to say about the product. So we felt that looking through all those 9 different quotes, and some of them were body camera companies trying to sell you body cameras and make it a squad camera type program, and didn't fit very well. But we felt that GTAC was by and large the best bang for our buck as far as durability and product quality. This is a system that we plan on having for many, many years, so we want to make sure it lasts and works well. And we were able to get a quote for that system for $26,325. So that's for the camera system, the install of the camera system. They actually have a cloud system that all that video goes up to automatically when we park at the police department, and they store it and retain it on that cloud system. So there's no need for expensive server projects within the police department. So there's nothing going wrong with it. It's always just on their system, and if there's something that needs to be fixed, that's on them, not on us and on tech to try to figure out for those large video files and the storage that goes with that. One thing I did fail to add into my memo is there is also a cost to install those systems into the squad cars, to put all the cameras in, the wiring, hook it all up, mount the brackets, drill it into the squad cars, rip off panels to run the wiring. It's $700 per system to install into the squad car. Again, I plan on having this system for decades, hopefully, for a decade at least, as long as it's supported by the company. And those would just get changed over then as part of our squad changeovers moving forward. So there would be an additional cost of that $2,800. So between the funding with the grants, we have $23,622.75. That would, just for the camera costs, we'd have that additional $2,702.25. And then we'd also have that $2,800 that I just mentioned for the squad install. Those I would be able to work through my operating budget and or our police department donations account to make that program go live. So really this would be a non-budgeted expense, but we were able to pay for it through grants and donations by and large.
5 squads or just 4?
5 squads. So it'd be our 4 fully marked, decaled, and then our supervisor squad, the unmarked black squad that has the computer system in it. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I was off on that. Yeah, for 5 squads, yep, $3,500.
Chief, the form, with us looking at this GTAC, I just want to get this right. We're looking at 26,325 are the costs, but it says cameras 2. Would that not be times 2.5 to get those cameras?
Because there's 2 cameras, there's one in the windshield and then one in the back seat. If you go over to the right of that, there's a 5. So it's those 2
Understood.
cameras 5 times.
Got it. Okay.
So that's the front windshield camera
Got
and
it.
then the back seat.
And then the cloud is enough? 60?
They did a quick analysis for us and they thought that would easily be enough storage for us to get by. So anytime anything's evidence, we download it to our system and property inventory it as we would any evidence. But any video I take, under state law, I have to retain for certain periods of time. So every day, the officers do a squad check. One of the ways these cameras turn on is you turn your lights on, the camera automatically kicks on. It's built into the system. So when they're checking their lights, now I gotta keep that video for that 90 or 120 days, even though it's just a quick squad check. We have retention periods per state law that we gotta follow on that. So that's, the cloud is taking care of that retention piece. Evidence, we would still store within the police department in our evidence room.
And the down the road, you're not worried about costs being too rough when it isn't based on grants? You think that's gonna be able to be absorbed most likely into
So
the
our only
operating budget?
annual piece of this is the cloud storage, and that's the $2,340. So that would be covered here, but then every year we'd have to pay that to keep that cloud storage system. And I think that's something that I can work through my budget and hopefully build in. I think it's a high expectation from our public that we have some type of video capabilities. I can argue the efficiency and sometimes what it brings to the table. I do think the squad cameras bring better efficiency and effective policing than body cameras. But it's one of those things when you're arguing it and you get in the weeds, you're losing that because we're in the 21st century here, and I think people have that expectation. So this is our ability to bring cameras online and still get a good product and be efficient and effective and not price us out with a body camera type system. The other perk to GTAC is they have a great body camera program that we can fully implement into these squad cameras. They sync up together. And the one big difference GTAC has body camera wise than all of these other companies for the most part is we don't have to have officer specific body cameras. A lot of the other companies charge you a license per officer, where GTAC charges you a license per camera. So although I have 18 officers, it's very rare we're all working together. I can always mobilize 10 cameras for charging, for any type of repairs on a body camera system. Instead of paying for 18 licenses, I can pay for 8 or 10, and we could realize a significant savings that way. So that was another perk to GTAC, is if this works out well, if legislation comes down on body cameras, it's something we can always quickly pivot and move towards very easily.
Thank you.
Chief, what's the warranty on the GTAC system?
I got it right here. It's a 5-year warranty.
Thanks.
And we can purchase additional years after that if we choose. What will probably happen from the people that I talk to through this system is the way that technology changes, the system will probably, the equipment will outlast the technology. At some point, like all technology, they'll end use of life for it, so we won't get updates. If something breaks, I won't be able to get parts, that kind of thing. And I'm thinking, my hope is, again, to get about 10 years out of these. And so we're getting a lot of bang for our buck. A difference when we were looking at Axon body cameras, when that legislation was coming down, or that we thought was coming from the state, that was one of those mandatory unfunded mandates for policing. We were looking at 3 years ago at about $100,000 just to kick off a body camera program for a small department our size. So that's just kind of the differences we're talking, with significant annual cost with that program. One thing I will mention also is this quote expires January 12th, so we were trying to lock in. As with everything, there's lead times on this because it's hard to get everything right now. So we're going to have some time. We are also working on one other grant while we're waiting on that. And we may be able to fund the rest of this balance even through that grant. But that's not known at this time. We'll definitely put in for it. It just came up. But I would like to lock into these prices before that goes up on us as well.
In other words, Chief would like a motion.
I'll make it.
I was letting him speak.
Yeah, with that hint.
Did we get one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a motion?
I was
Oh, go ahead.
starting. I'll make a motion to approve the GTAC squad camera system for patrol squads 1 through 5 at the purchase price of $23,622.75. Oh, that's a grand, I'm sorry.
Just through GTEC as shown.
26,325.
And the mounting?
Yeah, and with the extra $2,702.25 for the cloud. And then we talked about installation for $700 per 5 squads, so that'd be an additional $3,500. So it'd be $3,500 plus $23,622.75.
Second.
$2,702. Equals, whatever. Make sure we get all the dollar amounts in there.
It's going to be
I'll second.
Okay, now for clarity. The motion that was made was for the GTAC quote. That's grand. 26,325?
23,622, so, oh, you added it all up?
Yes.
together? Okay, got it. Oh, okay. Yeah, so for 26,325,
Yep. Plus the mounting.
plus the $3,500 mounting for the 5 squads.
So it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried.
I just have one question.
Go ahead.
Will those cameras pick up the lime green garbage cans?
I believe they will pick those up
Okay.
very effectively.
A satellite would pick those up.
The next item that we have on the agenda is the, sorry, I got ahead of myself. Discussion and consideration related to the hometown celebration.
Good evening. In the process of organizing and coordinating the hometown celebration for June 30th through July 2nd, 2023, staff did determine that the cost of the event was going to be more than double what had been discussed last July, 2022, in the board meeting. It was approved for a budget of $25,000, and should the non-refundable deposit exceed $2,000, it needed to come back to the board. So in my research, after connecting with several vendors, connecting with several organizations that put on large events, the staff has reviewed and determined a plan to move forward with the reservations of a large tent, the stage within that tent, beverages, bathrooms, transportation, and the band. So we are looking for approval to secure that essential equipment for this event, and also approve the new budget, which will all be fundraised through 5 different levels of sponsorship. And we are also anticipating beer sales income, and then any proceeds that we would raise would move into an entertainment fund to support future hometown celebration events. With this particular band, Bella Kane, we have a verbal agreement right now, and the contracts are coming out later this month. They bring a very large crowd. When you do an event well, you can anticipate 3,000 to 5,000 people coming to see this band, Bella Kane. And when you're looking to have an event with that size band, you do have accommodations that are also going to cost a little bit more than some of the other events we've put on. That being said, if we want to do this the right way, I believe we need to spend a little bit of money to get that done. And again, I will be fundraising for that. I'm excited to get started with that and looking for the board's support to move forward.
There are other places where these type of events happen where it's not unreasonable to raise a couple $100,000. We have park improvements that we borrow for currently, where we've talked about a fine arts center for many years. Sarah has talked and has, I don't want to call it verbal commitments, I did in a previous email, but there's interest. I think she'll have the 2 Stars and Stripes sponsors probably by the end of January, I would guess. Hopefully by the end of tomorrow. There's a lot of interest, a lot of different people that want to contribute to it. Again, the reason for the tent, if it rains, you have a 100 by, what is it, 100 by 150?
Correct.
Foot tent for people to be under that will have beer, food, and a good band. And we will have a band for fireworks. Again, we're just trying to make this a large event. We'll have our parade, we'll have everything. It's kind of our first shot, so it's the scare. You know, if we have a great year and we have 50, 60, $100,000 extra, that kind of puts it for future years, but this first year, you know, that's why we need the big sponsors, and we'll get there, so.
I think it's fantastic. And that you're upping the sponsorship amounts and that kind of thing after you guys have convened to see that you'll be able to get those as well. I think the village wants it, so, I mean, I think it's fantastic.
Again, this is separate. We still have the Summer Concert Series sponsor. That is the 8,000 or whatever we talked about last time, but for this large event, that is, so.
$25 to $50, is that correct? Is that what you're looking for?
I'm sorry.
What
was
is
it?
the number that you're looking to have approved before it would have to come back to the board again if it went over that?
I'm anticipating a budget of, an expense of $56,000. I would guess there's probably other considerations that we will find along the way since it's our first year. I'd say a cushion between 56 and 60,000, and with the understanding that I'm going to fundraise for the dollars that I need. I have listed the deposits here in the details. These are non-refundable deposits. So once we commit, those dollars are spent and they are non-refundable.
But in talking to some of your people, they said, get the tent right away, get the stage. Because if you don't do it now, we
Here's the other thing. I'm starting this about 5 or 6 months late, and I have my work cut out for me. And I've heard that from everybody I've talked to. I've also heard most of these large events have big committees working to get everything done. I'm ready, I'm excited, and I can do all this, and I just need support to move forward and make it a great event, because it will be.
Out of the $56,000, it says on here that we've already paid $2,750. So you're looking for, I'm sorry? So that would be 56,000 minus the 2,750, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though the 27's already been paid, 50.
Right, but the event
50.
cost would be the 26,000 minus the 2,750, and then whatever buffer, right?
If there's a grand total budget of 56,000, even though 27,000's gotten paid already,
Right.
it doesn't all of a sudden just jump 58 on top of 27. 27's just part of it.
Right.
I think Sarah's looking for a cap of $60,000,
Yep.
including the amount already paid.
That's what I was gonna say. I'll make a motion to cap the expenses at $60,000 for the hometown celebration band.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve a cap of 60,000 for hometown celebration, or just the hometown celebration band? Can you please clarify on the motion?
The hometown celebration period.
Okay. It's been moved in second. Any discussion?
Is that gonna allow, is that gonna give authorization as of right now for her to be able to make all these deposits and get things moving? Is that enough?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
All right, that's the way it sounds. I shouldn't answer for you.
Yes, and if we can just clarify, because for the parade, Darlene does collect some sponsorships as well. So this is specific to the bands on Friday and Saturday night,
Saturday,
and not including the fundraising that she does for the parade.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Everyone's walking in the parade. No floats, no nothing.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Great work. This is
you,
awesome.
sir.
It's fantastic. Now, at this time, we have announcements.
Oh, well, it's right here. Good evening. So T-ball registration for summer 2023 opens tomorrow. That is going to look a little bit different this year. Last year we did 2 nights, so it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. This year we're opening 2 options, Mondays and Wednesdays, or Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're moving back to an all-star game, and we're also going to be going to a Dock Hounds game at the end of the season. So I'm looking for a little bit of a growth in that program. And that is the announcement.
Cool, thank you.
So we're in 2023. Happy New Year, everyone. Our shifts changes have taken effect, so we had a couple people move between first, second, and third shift. So you'll see some different faces out patrolling at different times. Myself, I just got accepted into my final program at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, so I'll be working on that program for the next 2 weeks. It's a remote program. It's all day long. Deputy Chief Clara will be in the office, and as you can tell, I'm always available when not involved in the program itself, but that will allow me to earn my executive certificate in public leadership through the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. So that's my final class there, which will be great to get accomplished. And then Lieutenant DeBarge will be starting here when I get back. He goes to our Northwestern Command School, which is going to be held at Waukesha County Technical College. It's a 10-week, very intensive program with law enforcement leaders all throughout the region. It's one of those programs that we expect of our law enforcement leaders, especially our police chiefs. The two you kind of hear the most are the FBI National Academy, which I attended, and then the Northwestern Police and Command School, which is also a very good school. So Brian will be going off to that here in about a week and a half or so. And that's all I have at the police department.
Awesome.
The DPW is not going to Harvard. I do want to inform you that we've had a couple water main breaks lately. One we spent, 4 guys spent 10 hours at the fire department on Christmas Day for a water main break. We took care of them. We also put employment banners out. We have 2 openings in the village. We have a custodian position that's open at the village hall for 25 hours a week. And then we also have a DPW labor position. We just posted that a couple weeks ago. We have a couple applicants. We'll run that a couple more weeks and we'll start interviewing for that as well.
Thank you.
So December was another high call volume month for us. Set another record of 118 calls in December. Put our total at 1,137, again, 118 calls over last year. So fire department is continuing to answer calls, and new pay structure started on January 1st and seems to be going pretty well. We worked out a couple of bugs in it, and just putting people in the apparatus for all the calls that we've been answering. So other than that, I got word that our ambulance has a VIN number, and we probably looking at around July to take ownership of it at that point. So
Excellent.
Thanks, Chief.
Couple comments quick from my side. The pretty garbage carts are to be left at the street Friday for waste management so that waste management can pick those up. They need to be out Friday by 6 a.m. Waste management will be doing one more pickup through the village. I would say we have several hundred that weren't picked up, so they will be doing that. You can skip me now. I forgot the others.
To clarify, he's talking about the old carts. Trustee. I have heard some comments on we'll look into what we can do about the cans. I don't know what we can do at this point. They're all brand new, just delivered. But I did want to say we had just one announcement that I have. Our sign ordinance, we've had someone request some stuff on our sign ordinance where it gets confusing on what can go out for political stuff, how big the signs can be, all that kind of thing. There's been a lot of cases going to the Supreme Court. We've been told by our attorney. We did change this last year. I'm considering putting it on the agenda to bring it to the board. The board could choose to keep it, but bringing it forward just to basically simply eliminate any restrictions for political signage, because there's no way of really enforcing it anyway, unless it's an item of public safety. But so by doing so, what that does is just allows it to fall under state law, instead of it being us, more than anything, it gets rid of confusion, so that between the police, DPW, anybody during, whether it's a presidential or governor race or any race, they know exactly what they can do. It's not like the ordinance is written, but only some people are paying attention to it. So I wanted to let the board know, basically, and the public too, but that I'm going to ask that be put on the agenda for next meeting so that we can talk about that. If we were to eliminate that, hopefully in time before the election for the spring, where there's a Supreme Court, I don't know if we'd make it before the primary for Supreme Court, but anyways, we'd be working on it. So it was requested, and I think it was the right thing, especially since, this is going on all over the country where it keeps hitting the Supreme Court. So other than that, I don't have any announcements.
Motion that we adjourn? Oh. I will not
Well,
make a
you
motion
can,
that
but
we adjourn.
don't second that.
All right. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Well, we'll consider that dead for lack of a second. The next item on our agenda, consideration of a motion to recess to closed session pursuant to 19.85, state statutes, 19.85, 1, section C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility regarding the village manager performance evaluation. To go into closed session would require a roll call vote.
Trustee DeBoer?
We
Trustee
need a
Trutchell?
motion. We didn't-
Here?
Oh, sorry.
Make a motion that we go into closed session.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to go into closed session. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee DeBoer? Trustee Trutchell?
Here?
Trustee Pieper?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Hartland?
Yes. If that passes, we'll go into closed session. Evaluation of Ryan Bailey, the village manager. This meeting was to go to back to open session after the closed session for any action that may be taken that appropriately should be done in front of the public.
I will make a motion that we give Mr. Bailey a raise of 4% on top of his current salary.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to give Ryan Bailey a 4% raise on top of his current salary, which is $140,000. I will ask a member of the board to run a calculator so that we can have a number that is the 4%.
That'll be 5,600, so it'll be a total of $145,600.
Sorry, it was moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we have the motion on the table, but so that's $5,600. So that would be $5,600, and then whatever happens after that happens after that. I suppose you should come back up here, Ryan, actually, as I'm saying it, because if you have anything to say, your mic's not going to pick you up, so I do want to, if the board will allow. That motion passed, but if you have anything that you want to say on that.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate it. Look forward to another year working with you, and again, no surprises, just work together and let me know.
This packet of the trustee performance evaluations, along with the master evaluations with all our scores on top, and Ryan's own personal evaluation with goals will be placed in Ryan's personal file tonight. That raise will be retroactive to just till 1/1, so that would hit the check in the.
This paycheck right here is actually the paycheck of all 1/1 through whatever, so
Correct.
no retro, it'll just go on this.
Oh, okay, all right. So with that being said, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
It has been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting's adjourned.